you know that it was an allegory for the populist movement?
Hazel, The Wizard of Oz is definitely just a children's story. What even is the populist movement, and what are you talking about?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's turn to our friends, Professor Goldleaf and Mrs. Ida.
During the Civil War, farming was essential to keep the soldiers and country fed. After the Civil War, however, the demand for crops was lower than the supply. Corn fell from 41 cents a bushel in 1874 to 30 cents by 1897.
In addition to supply and demand problems, the country was beginning to shift from agriculture to industry. Goods were being mass-produced and the farmers were losing their power to industry.
To make matters worse, the rich did not want to pay their taxes and exploited the poor. One of the richest men in the world during this time was John D. Rockefeller. He was an oil tycoon with a monopoly over most of the money in the country.
Poor farmers blamed many industries like his for their numerous problems. There were discriminatory railroad rates, ludicrous prices charged for farm materials, a back-breakingly high tariff, an unfair tax structure, and an inflexible banking system.
All of the limitations put on the farmers caused them to accumulate massive amounts of debt, and without the money from crops, they fell under the mercy of big banks. These social, political, and economic grievances were expressed by many authors who gave their opinions on how to fix it.
One author, Henry George, wrote Progress and Poverty in 1879. He believed that all problems were rooted in rising land values and that the high land prices discouraged the poor from acquiring property. Thus, farmers were subjected to tenancy. Farmers would toil in the fields while all their money went toward paying rent to landowners.
George proposed to abolish all tax except for the tax on land. He believed that only taxing the land would discourage people to leave land idle. This would create investment opportunities and eliminate poverty and unemployment.
Economic problems would reach a fever pitch due to the financial panic of 1893.
The financial dispute over currency during the Gilded Age was whether or not backing silver would help the farmers gain more money. However, the indecisiveness on the part of the Cleveland administration caused many lenders to call in their loans.
The dollar became devalued with silver. Additionally, the price of gold dropped when Cleveland repealed the act to have money backed by silver.
Their lack of trust for the government and big businesses, coupled with their strife from economic crisis, caused farmers to unite and rise. They formed alliances, unions, and eventually a political party.
Some of these alliances were the National Farmers Alliance and the Industrial Union. These alliances protested for the nationalization of big businesses. They believed that if the government was in charge of business, then the rights of the lower class would be protected.
Eventually, the alliances decided they would make more progress if they became one big party and held power in government. Thus, the Populist Party was born in 1892.
The Populist Party had much success on the local government level. They were able to elect 10 representatives, 5 senators, 4 governors, and 345 state legislators throughout the lifespan of the party.
Also in 1892, they nominated James B. Weaver of Iowa to run for president. The platform for the party included labor unions, an 8-hour workday, a graduated income tax system, women's suffrage, and a government more responsive to the citizens of the country.
Weaver received more than 1 million of the popular votes and 22 electoral votes. Unfortunately, the euphoria after his success was short-lived. The paranoia associated with the Populist Party turned many voters away.
They believed Wall Street and foreigners were their main enemies. This narrow view of America caused businessmen as well as urban workers to turn away from the party. When the election of 1896 came, William Jennings Bryan was crushed by the opposition of the Democratic and Republican parties.
Have it. The populist movement was the rise of poor farmers against big businesses.
Wow, I totally get it now, Hazel. The scarecrows would represent poor farmers who were seen to have no business sense, so hence no brain.
Exactly. We can't forget the Tin Man who represented all the industrial workers. Big businesses thought they were little machines, so no heart.
I honestly believe that connects to today. The presidential election has brought up these issues many times. The narrative of the rich versus the poor has not changed.
Thanks to our friends, Professor Goldleaf and Mrs. Idad.
Bye!